Hello again, I'm Greg. I want to speak with you about a delicate topic, perhaps. One that I feel is driven by what sociologists call a moral panic. This is when people get excited about something that they imagine is a threat to either themselves or especially their children, and it can get carried away very, very quickly. We're speaking in this case of the kind of falderall associated with young people's use of the internet, digital media in general, and social media in particular. And I want to just make a few suggestions along these lines as a philosopher and as an ethicist. Why banning young people from social media, as has been done in Australia and has been contemplated elsewhere, is really a bad idea, even though it seems like a good one. The future is our children, and the future needs the reality of the present to inform itself. To me, this means, as an educator, that young people should be exposed to as much of that reality as humanly possible as soon as it is reasonable to do so. Certainly, people who are age 10, 11, 12, and up are reaching that period of life, that phase of life that we refer to as adolescence, where they begin to question things, where they begin to doubt what they've been told. And the longer that we kind of delay that questioning, that skepticism, even that suspicion that many teenagers have about the world, that the world is perhaps not quite exactly the way it seems to be, or that things are not necessarily the way that adults tell them they are. The longer we delay that, the longer we delay any kind of sense of the mature future of the species in general. It is that serious. I think what's happening here is, as happens often in moral panics, is that really it's we adults who are projecting our anxieties upon our children. It's not that the children are the anxious generation, as Jonathan Haidt has titled his book, which in part is driving this moral panic. It's we adults who are anxious, and we need to, instead of projecting those anxieties on others, we need to confront them. And one of the ways we can do that through digital media is by giving it a very close and critical examination of the actual content that is on the digital media. Let's not ban people from using it. Let's go through what is actually there and question it in the same way that a teenager would question their parents about why they can't go to this party or this concert or use this substance or associate with these people, whatever it might be. We too are using substances and associating with certain kinds of people and consuming a great deal of pre-produced media over which we have almost no control. It's adults that produce media, not so much children, although in social media, of course, there are some young people producing their own content. More power to them in that sense. They're exploring themselves, they're expressing themselves. Most of this content is non-threatening and, as one would expect, quite trivial. But it is not entirely without merit, because this is the beginning of a creative and questioning and doubting process that says, well, who am I really at age 12 or age 14 or age 16? Who am I? I'm told I'm this, but is that really me? These are questions that phase of life generates, and these are questions that are both ethical and philosophical in their implications, and these are questions that adults too need to ask of ourselves on a regular basis. We need to go to school on the kids who are still in school, schools that we run. And speaking of that, when the ban did come down in Australia, there were several educators who, were in very responsible positions. I won't name names, speaking about innocence, the concept of innocence, and that children should be kept innocent for as long as possible. This is absolutely wrong-headed. And as a fellow educator, I'm going to gently suggest that you rethink your position entirely. If not, I would suggest that you have no business in the education system and that you should resign forthwith. That's the most honorable thing any adult can do who is holding people back, especially young people, and preventing them from exploring themselves in the widest manner possible. Yes, there are going to be bumps along the road, and sometimes there may even be some dangers, but we adults are, if anything, mentors in the sense of we have adapted, we've survived, we've experienced a lot thus far, and thus our species has also survived thus far. We clearly, given the world situation, need a different kind of future than the present that we are living in now. We need to help our children attain the ability to remake that species' future and to recreate the human consciousness in a way that is more viable over the long term. We have to take the future and the long term into consideration in everything we do. Thank you.